Hey everybody, welcome back to another Science Sunday. This week we're starting in a new series, and for the first week we're talking about how God always keeps his promises. How if he tells us something that he's going to do something, he's always faithful to do that thing. And the example for this week is actually Jesus' birth. So for thousands of years, the Israelites who were told that a savior would come and save them from their sins, they waited and waited and waited, and they thought, oh, this is, this we've been waiting so long, and it might have seemed like a long time, but eventually God said, you know what, it's time. I'm going to send my son Jesus, and he's going to be the Messiah. He's going to be the promised one who comes to save the world. So he might it might take a while, but he always delivers on what he says he's going to do. And sometimes we confuse that with thinking um, that God's always going to do what we want him to do, and that's not always the case. He will do what he's promised to do, but it'll be in his own time, and it'll be in his way. And what we have to do is be faithful and know that his timing is best, and he knows when it's the right time to deliver on his promises. So today, for our illustration, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the laws of nature and how God set up the universe. One of the things that I think is really neat that is very easy to illustrate the consistency and the promise of God and how He is always constant. He's always going to deliver on what He says. Is just the way that He set up the universe. A really simple example. And let me go over here and grab a prop. This is going to be pretty easy. So if we just take an object, and this, everybody can do this. You just take an object like this, and you just, let's go down here. And what happens when we let go of it? It falls down. It always falls down. If you're on Earth, if you drop an object, it will fall towards the earth because of gravity. Because God said, you know what, I'm going to set up the laws of physics. I'm going to set up how the universe works so that there are things that you can always count on. And so it's a good example of how we can always count on God. He's always there for us, and He always keeps His promises. And He shows us all around us, in simple things just like this, that every single time we drop this, it's going to fall. And what's even crazier than that is it's always going to fall the same exact way every single time. And scientists have been discovering this all throughout history, that there are certain ways that things happen in the universe that are always the same. So when this ball falls, it falls 32 meters every second, and then every second after that it falls even faster, 32 meters per second. So that's a constant, and they've measured it and they know it's true. And another thing we're going to look at that's kind of related to that are these over here. So what I've set up here, these are called pendulums. And if you haven't seen a pendulum before, but basically what it is you take a weight and you put it on the end of a string and you drop it, and it goes back and forth. That's a pendulum. And the way that this object moves has been determined by the laws of nature. God set it up so that it's going to move at a certain rate based on how long this string is. And it's always constant. And what we're going to see here is kind of crazy, is that we have all of these balls, and they're all at different sizes. You can see one of them's way up here, and one of them's way down here. And we're going to see that when we swing one of them, it goes back and forth at a certain rate. And then if we drop another one, watch what happens here. You see they don't fall at the same rate. They go back and forth at different rates. And if you wait long enough, they actually sync up again, to where for just a moment they're going at the same rate, and then they shift. And this is measurable. This is an action that we can do, an experiment that we can do over and over and over, and we can know for sure that they're going to move at certain rates based on how long their string is. Now we're going to do one more. We're going to do another quick thing here. Let me just rotate the camera. All right, let's try this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our board, and it's a little tricky to do this. We're going to push them all over at the same time. And now what we're going to do is we're going to let it go all at once, and we'll see what happens and how they swing. Here we go. Look at that. So you can see the shortest one has the shortest period. It's swinging back and forth at a faster rate than any of the others. And you can see it started out going pretty much the same, and then quickly they started to go at different rates. And so they're all, the motion is kind of all crazy. But if you wait long enough, the periods again will meet. They'll sync up, and for a brief moment, you can see some of them are doing it already. They'll move at the same rate for just a moment. Here you go, there you go. Look, they're all moving together, and now they're all gonna again separate. So the periods are gonna shift back and forth. And again, what's really neat about this is, you know, the way that these are moving is constant. I mean, it's not a constant rate of motion, but we can figure out mathematically exactly how long it'll take for this ball to go back and forth just by knowing the length of the string, the mass of the ball. You know, there's these constants in the way that things happen in our world and in the universe that we can count on. We know, you know, God set it up so that every single time we do this, we're going to see the same result. And this is just an illustration of his faithfulness, that if, you know, something as trivial as swinging a tennis ball back and forth, you know, we can count on it and we can even predict it, then, you know, the same is true for what God tells us he's going to do. If he says that he's going to do something, we can count on it. We know for sure that it's going to happen. It might not happen right away. It might take a really long time, but it's going to happen. All right, guys, that's all for today. I hope you liked this video. I'm going to actually put a link to an example or an experiment like this that's really cool. You know, using some other materials, but it's really neat to see. And again, you know, this is all to show that God didn't, you know, do this all. He didn't create the universe haphazardly. He put a lot of amazing elegance and, you know, very creative design into how the universe works. So yeah, just remember that. Thanks everyone for joining, and I will see you guys next week on Science Sundays.